Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and today we have an absolutely gigantic box, which I need to turn that light a little bit just to stop obscuring the logo. But you can see we have another gigantic box from Dino Dream. This is the 1/30th scale final battle set, and I am so excited to have this here, and so excited to finally have something like this. Like, I remember Prime 1 and stuff had released a set where you kind of had like this kind of almost whatever that statue sort of thing is in the background there. And of course, you know, the same dinosaurs we see here, but that was super expensive. Dino Dream has gone ahead and released their own version of it, and I think it looks extremely cool from what I've seen so far. Obviously, you can see we've got quite a bit included, and that would explain why the box is so gigantic. On the side, you can see Final Battle Set, Dino Dream again, and then if we turn it to the back, not really much of anything going on. But then if we come up here, you can again see a shot of the fact that we have a Therizinosaurus, a T-Rex, and then that sort of statue in the background there, and then some more images over here. And I think that's pretty much the most of what we're going to see on this massive box. So rather than playing around with the box, let's get it open and we'll check this set out. So there we go, we have everything now out of the box and standing here before us, and it all looks honestly incredible. And something I was really quite wondering is, was the Therizinosaurus here the exact same one that we had in the previous release? But it actually is the same sculpt, but different paint application. And then the T-Rex is an entirely different Rexy with an entirely different color scheme. And I really like both, and of course the paint schemes of both, because first of all, I think Dino Dream usually does a great job as far as the paint apps go, but it's also kind of meant to represent these dinosaurs at night, so they both have kind of like a darker appearance to them, which I also think is really quite cool. So we're going to go ahead, move the camera a little bit, get a closer look at these guys, and check the entire set out. So when it comes to our Rexy that we have in this set, it is quite different from the previously released version of the T-Rex. Also very quite different as far as the colors go, because again, this is kind of, actually if you go on Lana Time Shop and you look up this specific Rex, it states that it is the dark version or dark variant or something along those lines, because obviously the final battle scene takes place at night in Dominion. So they've given this, again, that much darker sort of a look to it, which obviously is meant to replicate the Rex at night. But you can see the sculpt is really nice. It's definitely very screen accurate. We also have a nice open mouth visual here as our Rexy is currently in the process of roaring. We can see the teeth sculpted out, all sculpted individually, all looking really quite nice. They're painted with kind of like a yellowish tone, but it has like a wash applied to it as well. We can see the skin stretching there in the inside of the mouth. Nice paint there in that area as well with some pinkish tones. And we can see the tongue. Well, maybe we could. There we go. The tongue is very nicely textured. You can see all of the different fine detail within the tongue. And again, a nice dark wash that's been applied to that, as well as variation of color on the inside of the mouth in general. The teeth in the lower jaw are all nicely sculpted, nicely painted down there as well. And then we can see the detail. Oh boy, let's find a good way to look in there. There we go. We can see the detail on the upper side of the inside of the mouth also looks really good. And you can see the throat back there, which again looks pretty darn cool overall. As we move back into the face, you can also take note to the fact that we have like some really dark browns and blacks and stuff all throughout the face. The scars are also applied to the face, and of course throughout the entire body. The scars are sculpted out and painted out with kind of like a purplish sort of a tone. We have, again, some really nice variation of color. You've got that striping moving down up there from the top of the head. We can see the nostrils. The detail looks really nice on the figure as a whole. They've also applied a very nice dark wash, helping to highlight all of the detail. You can see kind of like some dark spots and stuff down here on the lower jaw of the T-Rex. The eye is painted with a yellow, given a black pupil. Also has a nice gloss coat. As we move back into the neck of the Tyrannosaur, you can see again some more striping. You've got that nice Rexy type striping moving along the back of the dinosaur, as well as again some different variations of color, even some really nice kind of lighter browns that are sort of covered up with the dark wash potentially, so it's kind of, you know, appearing darker, but you can see some lighter shades of browns that are included in there. We can see wrinkling and folding in the skin as you move down to the underside of the neck and throat. We also have a lighter tone moving down along the underside, and as we continue to move through, we see again more injuries and scars and stuff that Rexy has built up. As we continue to move through the Rex, you'll continue to see that the entire way through. As you know, by the time Dominion has come around, she's definitely quite beaten up. Moving down, we again have very impressive skin texture, some osteoderms and stuff here and there. The arms sculpted really nicely. You can see the elbow, the musculature, the fingers as well looking really good. We have the claws painted out with a nice black. Everything again really well done. Nice smooth transitioning back and forth when it comes to the colors on this one as well. Moving into the stomach, we can see the rib cage. Again, the scale detail looking super impressive, really vibrant the entire way through. We've got some more scars and injuries and stuff. Again, that dark wash really making the detail pop as you move down to the underbelly. We can see the lighter tone of the underside of the T-Rex, and of course that trademark style of scale detail to the underside of the Rex, which of course is very important when creating a Rexy. As we move down a little further, we can see the spinal column, also the hip bone, as well as those kind of scoots moving over the hip bone. Really nice looking skin texture as we lead down into the leg again. More scars, nice musculature. Same deal as we move down to the calf. You can see the muscle definition. A few larger scales moving down from the knee into the shin before disappearing as we lead down into the foot sculpt of the T-Rex. And again, that is about as picture perfect of a Jurassic Park T-Rex foot sculpt as you will find. Nice scoots down the toes, really nicely sculpted claws. Again, some nice fine detail within the claws, and again painted with a nice black. And yes, you can see the dew claws are painted over there on the other side. And then you move up into the tail. Again, you can see some creasing and wrinkling of the skin because of the positioning of the leg. You can also see that the skin texture and everything looks great the entire way out. Nice curve to the tail as you lead out, as it does curve down a little bit, then up, and then sort of back down, almost actually more straightening out by the end of the tail. And again, we do have that lighter tone following along the underside of the T-Rex, and the dark wash definitely helps to make all of the detail pop beautifully on this Rex. When we look at it from over here on the other side, again, some more injuries and scars and stuff up here in the face. You can see even a slice and scar right there by the eye. You've got a few more down here on the lower jaw, and even more moving back into the neck. Again, the T-Rex is pretty much headed straight forward. You can see there's not much in the way of like a turn in the neck or anything, so the pose is going to look pretty much the same from one side to the other. The biggest difference is going to be where we see scars and injuries and stuff. The arms are also held in almost the same position again on both sides. You've got a pretty big injury and scar right here on the side of the Rex. Again, you definitely can take note to how nicely painted they are, again with the lighter tones that they have applied. We've got the rib cage, all the different variation of color. This side obviously has the foot taking a nice big step forward, and you can see all of the musculature throughout the course of that entire leg, again as you move down into the foot sculpt, and then back out into the tail, which is also again pretty straight out. There's a slight curve to the tail, but not a whole lot. But that is definitely a beautiful Rexy model, and again I really like the darker tones of this one, helping to recreate the scene again in the dark of Jurassic World Dominion. It is really super cool. Also, just in case you're curious, even though it does have a peg on the base, it can stand just perfectly fine on its own with no issues whatsoever. And then we've got the Therizinosaurus. Now, sculpt-wise, it is the same Therizinosaurus that we had previously from Dino Dream. Color-wise, it is definitely a bit different. It's a lot darker than the previous version. Again, as I already mentioned, kind of recreating the scene taking place in the dark. You can see we've got some different variations of greens and browns and stuff here in the face, some yellows there for the beak. We've got the tongue on the inside of the mouth, again also nicely painted. Some washes and stuff have been applied in there. We can see the teeth painted out and everything. We don't need to go over the actual sculpt or anything of this one because we've already done that with the first review, just the actual paint apps. We do have the blind eyes for the Therizinosaurus, which is, of course, a massive plus because that is exactly how you see the dinosaur portrayed in Dominion. And since this is meant to replicate not only the Dominion version, but the final battle moment, you can see, again, it's definitely looking quite screen accurate as far as that goes. As you move up to the top of the head, you do have the darker, actually, you do have some lighter blues that move over the top of like the head right there, which you can see over here as well. But you have this dark blue tone for the primary body color, and rather than all of the reds that we had on the other one, on the older one, we have kind of like more sporadic red feathers that move through. So I really like that because, again, they did add a little difference to this one compared to the other one, and it would have been a little bit sad if it was just a straight up, you know, repack of the other one. So definitely happy that they've given this one a different paint application. I also like that there is a little bit of a shine to the feathers, which I think looks really good. There's also variation to not only the reds, but the blues. Like you can see some darker reds that show up here and there moving through the back of the dinosaur, as well as some lighter blues that you'll see popping up here and there. I think it all looks really good. As we move out into the arms, you can see some greenish tones. We can also see some grayish tones. So I really like the variation of color they've applied. We can also see some of the blues moving down the scoots there on the fingers. And then, of course, down into the claws, which also have that bluish tone, which all looks really cool. We've got more of that variation of color down here on the underbelly, the nice dark wash present on this figure as well. We can see, again, some more vibrant blues leading off of the back there of the plumage on the arms. You kind of see it up here, but it's a little bit more dull up here on the top. We can even see some darker variations, almost looking like darker purples, actually, mixing in with the feathers on the back. There is a lot of variation of color, really slight variation of color as you move up through those feathers. You can also, again, see how good the detail looks as you move through. Like the actual scale detail and skin texture looks super nice and super vibrant. Moving down into the foot sculpt, you again have the blues highlighting the scoots, the blues for the claws as well. Same deal with the dew claw back there. And then again, you move out into the tail and you've got some more of that pretty much same coloration leading out. You've got like the reds just basically picking up and spotting, I guess, or striping through different areas, highlighting different feathers as you move out. And again, it looks super, super cool. It really does look awesome on this figure. And I would say that even though the other one, again, has a little bit of a brighter appearance because it's more of a daylight version of the Therizinosaurus, this one might be my favorite of the two because I just really like the darker look of this one and the colors and everything as far as the way they are applied. It looks really impressive. So the Therizinosaurus is also quite awesome. I will grab the other Therizinosaurus in a moment just to show you the differences. But then you've also got a really nice base, which you can see again does have the Jurassic World logo, nice very glossy black. And then on the underside, first of all, you can see again Dino Dream Therizinosaurus dark version. We can see the scale and the limited edition number right there. And as you move down, you can see some information on the dinosaur, as well as the fact that it is a female, which I actually did not know for some reason. And then the other one is, of course, the base for Rexy, which is the same style. Everything's the same as far as that goes. But then down here, again, Dino Dream, Tyrannosaurus Rex, dark version. And then you can see all of the information down here as you move through. So that's super cool to have all of that included on the underside. And then we've got the final piece of the puzzle, which is, of course, that kind of like statue that you see, focus camera, in Jurassic World Dominion. You can see again, it looks super cool. We'll just hold it out here. Hopefully it'll focus. It does look super, super cool. I think the dinosaur standing in the background, like clearly my camera just knows to focus on dinosaurs. It only wants to look at them. But you can see it looks really good. Even the texturing, when you get nice and close, you can see is super realistic. All the slight variation of color that's been added to it, very impressive. Fine detail, looking 100% legit as you circle around up to the top. And then you've got this really nice, quite high quality underside to it. And what's really cool is it's actually connected with a really strong magnet. So you can pull that off, but then once you get close, it just reattaches. And again, does look super cool. And of course, you also have the opposing side. And I love how it looks weathered and everything as well. Again, just adding to the realism of the set and of this particular piece of the set. So that is extremely, extremely cool. And in general, this entire set is absolutely as epic as it gets. Also, here are the two different versions of the Therizinosaurus, and you can see again how much brighter the very first version was here, showing you how this one here is kind of meant to be like the Therizinosaurus in the dark, and just everything looks a little bit darker, a little bit more gloomy on the dark in quotation marks version. But obviously you can see just in general again the differences to the paint apps between the two, and even like when it comes to the head sculpt, the colors of the head sculpt do again look a little bit different, a little bit darker on the dark version and everything. So just wanted to show you again that it is of course the same sculpt, but also that the paint apps are definitely quite different. As far as a size goes, I think we really only need the size of the T-Rex because that's the only actual new sculpt here. So for a length, you are looking at about 17¼ inches or around 40, almost 44 centimeters, but not quite there. And then for a height to the top of the head, a little over 5½ inches or 14 centimeters. And the top of the tail about 5¾ inches or around 14½, closing in on 15 centimeters. For a size comparison, there is Mr. Papo T-Rex, the Attack Pack Colovosaurus, Robert Muldoon, and the Collect A Human Being next to our Dino Dream Final Battle set, and you can get a pretty good feel, a pretty good idea as far as the size goes here. But I don't think that it's very much of a surprise, honestly. This T-Rex is in the exact same scale as the last T-Rex. This Therizinosaurus is exactly the same figure as the last Therizinosaurus with new paint apps. So we've already done basically as many comparisons, I think, as needed when it comes to these type of figures. We very much so have a very good idea of a size between all of these new Dino Dream releases in this set. And then to complete the entire final battle, if you happen to already have their Giganotosaurus, you can see again what they all look like together. They definitely look really cool. The good thing about the Giga is it does already kind of have a darker look to it, so it fits in as far as that dark color scheme sort of goes, and giving off the, again, dark look of the entire scene here. And if we just bring them kind of out, I think we'll just move them like side by side here. You can hopefully get a pretty good feel for the size of each and every one of these, again showing off all of these different Dino Dream releases together. But just remember that the Giga is not included in this set. It is only the T-Rex and Therizinosaurus, so if you already have the Giga, you know, great, then you can add it to the overall scene. But if you don't have the Giga, you might want to grab that one as well. So this Dino Dream Final Battle for Jurassic World Dominion set is absolutely awesome. I love this set. The new T-Rex is really cool. I love the dark, in quotation marks, again, color scheme that they've given it the look of being, you know, Rexy at night. Same deal for the Therizinosaurus. I love the overall appearance of that one as far as the colors go as well. Again, maybe even more so than the first version. I think, again, the sculpt of the Therizinosaurus is awesome. It's spot on to the way it looks in the film. I said, of course, all of this in the first review, but the new coloration that they've added to it, again, looks really cool and maybe even better than the first version. The T-Rex is awesome because it is a brand new sculpt for Dino Dream. We have not had this sculpt of the T-Rex prior. I think it very nicely replicates the way Rexy looks in Dominion as well, which, of course, at this point is going to be pretty iconic because it seems as though that's the last time we'll really see Rexy in the Jurassic films, again, as far as the Jurassic franchise goes, since Rebirth has now moved on to very different territory. Although I again have been hearing that maybe that skeleton at the beginning of Rebirth is potentially Rexy's skeleton, so if that's true, maybe we'll kind of see her again in a way because we'll see her bones, but I don't know for sure if that's true or not. But again, they've done such a great job on this sculpt. We have a really nice, intimidating pose for the T-Rex. She looks nice, and even though she's older, you know, up in age for sure, she looks nice and muscular and healthy and everything, so that is also a massive plus for this particular sculpt from Dino Dream. They've added in all of the injuries and scars and stuff, lots of variation of color and everything throughout. So definitely one of the nicest Rexys, I would say, on the market anywhere. And of course, the addition of that sort of statue in the background is definitely a massive plus because those are very clearly all over the final battle, again, of Dominion. So definitely something that really helps to create that full diorama. So if you are interested in this absolutely awesome set, I will include a link in the description to where you can purchase it right now from Lana Time Shop. So go ahead, check that link, definitely pick it up, and like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.